Mr. Daniel, thank you for letting me speak this morning. I'm here. Several weeks ago, I appeared before this board, complaining about the situation at the convenience centers, the green boxes they're commonly called, and also the guardrail on a piece of State Route 619, the Austinville Road, that I've been working trying to get guardrail for probably 27 or 28 years. Well, I'm happy here to say thank you to this board, Coy and Mr. Dalton. Well, that has been accomplished. The situation at the green box was handled promptly. In fact, Mr. Dalton called me the next morning, very early the next morning, checking. I think he was out checking my measurements. But anyway, 3 or 4 days later, that was taken care of, and I'm happy to say that they're finishing the guardrail on this piece of road. I said it's been run through our fence 8 times, including a speed-on dump truck that they had no record of, naturally. And all that's been taken care of, and they're putting the final touches on that project right now. And I'm here to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Tommy. Our next speaker signed up is Sarah Poff. And Sarah wants to speak about the library.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, Melissa. You just got a little bit of an update on some of our services. I'm Sarah Paul with the Grayson Regional Library. 2 things that we have been working on over the last year, and then something we're going to be starting. Over the last year, we saw a need in the community to reach out through our collections. And so what we've done is we've established a couple of deposit collections, one in Max Meadows and one in Fort Chisholm. Now these are just books that folks have donated, and it's real simple. We just go out, we have a box that indicates it comes from the library, and people can take what they want. There's no tax money involved because the staff already goes by places anyway. So there's no gas and there's no money involved with that. But that's been very successful, and people are enjoying it, and I hope to be able to expand to Speedwell in the years coming up. We already have our bookmobile, which goes out to folks at home who are homebound, and that's a service we have been offering for many years, and of course we have our buildings. So we're just expanding out a little bit, and I just thought I would share that with you. Another thing that we will be doing coming up, as I'm sure you're aware, social services is now moving to an all-electronic way of applying for those services. Well, folks need a computer, folks need the time, and folks need help. Well, the library has computers, and we have the time being open, and we can provide some help. So I was speaking with the interim social services director yesterday, or with him, and I will be speaking with the one at Grayson to see what we can do to work together, because this is something that social services is requiring. They have folks have to go online to apply, to check, to update, and so we hope to work with them hand in glove to say, you know, we can help you because we know that these folks need that. I'll just give you a little update. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions, sir? I'd like to publicly state for everybody how much nicer this lady has made my life. Some of you people have been on the board for some time. We had some turmoil in the library, and when we hired Sarah, all those things got fixed. And I'm just smiling from ear to ear. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Linda Myers. Ms. Myers has number 2 to talk about.
Two things. At our last meeting, I had spoke about the Crooked Road and the National Historic Designation, and you said that you had voted against it at a Mount Rogers planning board meeting.
I said it didn't come up to a vote.
It didn't come up to a vote.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We started the vote part, and then somebody said, wait, we better get more information. Then I said to you, I thought that you might want to provide more information.
Well, I did that.
Okay.
So I called Dave Barrett, the executive director, and he had no knowledge at all. In fact, the conversation was very awkward. I honestly, it made me feel like I was talking to somebody that was either I woke him up, or he was drinking, or he's 200 years old. It was very, very strange. So I got absolutely nowhere with him, and he said that they were going to be having a new executive director, and perhaps I should take it up with him. But then he didn't know who that would be. He didn't know when they were voting. It was just a very strange conversation. So I did, in fact, send them information. And then I spoke to a Toby Brolin, who is the deputy director in the planning department. And he's also on the Crooked Road Board of Directors. And I gave him a lot of information, and he told me I was wrong. And then he told me I was right. And he didn't know. Well, I forwarded them a whole bunch of information, and I'm hoping that they will, in fact, look at it.
That was my request to you.
Exactly. Because they are really behind the 8 ball, and we're throwing the Mount Rogers people a big chunk of change. This initiative would affect over 600,000 people, you know, in 19 counties and so on and so forth. It is a very, very big issue, so I hope you guys will stay on top of it. And also, I see on the back of your agenda, you're talking about the annual business meeting for VACO. The Goochland County Board has pulled out of VACO. They feel that they are not getting, and they're not getting the benefits from the money they're putting in. And this article was in the Daily Progress from Goochland County. So perhaps you guys might want to think about that in your next budget process. Are we really getting enough buck for the bank? They are also looking into withdrawing out of other national associations because they just don't feel like they're being represented of what our feelings are in Virginia. So I'm hoping you might take that into consideration and look into it in your next round of budget. Thank you.
Anyone else that did not have an opportunity to sign, would like to sign Mr. Citizen's time? All right, at that time, I'll close Citizen's time. Before we go to unfinished business, and, well, I think Scott, how long was your presentation?
50 questions, 20 minutes, maybe.
Okay, we're going to change the agenda. Scott has an appointment out of town at 10 o'clock, or has to leave town by 10 o'clock. So at this time, I'm going to move the agenda, and we will have a report from the county attorney.
Addressing the front in case you have a lot of questions, you know, over this side. The two things I handed out to you, one is the ordinance on the motor vehicle license fee, and that's the one document. It says proposed ordinance at the top left. We've seen this before. We had saw this at our last meeting. And I had made a few changes to it. So if you look at page 2 in section 4, really the second sentence there talks about how we determine what vehicle gets assessed a fee. And it's really any vehicle that's registered or that is listed on the records of the Virginia Department of Vehicles. We have a restoration list, and there's also some vehicles that are titled that may not be registered. So this license fee here is picking up either one of those. So it can be restoration, or it can be just vehicles that are titled and with an address in West County. The other change is on page 3 on section 6 to deal with the change in implementing the that was passed. Section A, or Part A in Section 6 talks about what's going to happen from the date the ordinance passes to January 1st, 2014. So what would happen is that the residents, because they paid us a fee already through April 15th of 2013 for the purchase of stickers this year. So what would happen is that next year they would also buy a sticker, but the sticker would only be really from April through the end of December. That's how long it would be valid. And we would charge 75% of the fee. So whatever fee, which is later in the ordinance, the citizens would have to pay 75% of that fee for the year 2013. Then Section B there under Section 6 tells us that beginning January 1st, 2014, they will just be assessed the fee based on vehicles found under the Department of Motor Vehicle Records. That will be done when the personal property taxes are sent out in the fall of 2013. And the fee for the year 2014 will be due on December 5th the year before. So when they go pay their personal property taxes, they can pay the fee on December 5th, and then that's good for the whole year of 2014, and then every year after that, they just pay in December for the year upcoming for this fee. In Section 7, from our discussion last time, my understanding was that we wanted to change the fee to $20 for all motor vehicles and motorcycles. So previously we had motorcycles at $10. I think there was some issue about whether you separate the two on the titles or what capabilities they had from DMV of getting information. So this draft says that that's $20 for all motorcycles and vehicles, motor vehicles. Also, there was an exemption for trailers and about how long the trailer was. There was a trailer fee of $20 for a certain size trailer if it weighs 70 pounds. And what I did with this draft is made all fees on all trailers $10. Which is my understanding from the direction of the board and communicating with Mr. Dalton, but that can be changed. And so the amount can be changed if that's so every trailer that's registered with the Department of Motor Vehicles would be assessed a fee, registered or titled with the Department of Motor Vehicles would all have to pay a $10 fee based on this ordinance. Under page 4, under exemptions, exempt from this ordinance is really antique vehicles or disabled veterans, those sort of things. Members of volunteer fire departments, rescue squad can have one fee waived for one of their vehicles. If the volunteer rescue squad or fire department have vehicles titled in their name, then they will not need to have to pay a fee on those vehicles. They would be exempt from the ordinance. Section B of this exemption is new here on page 4. So a license for permitted business in the state of Virginia for an automobile dealer, salvage dealer, scrap processor, or recycler shall not be required to pay a fee on vehicles that are not used or operated on the streets of highways of the county. So if you're a recycling person or a salvage person, you're getting titles from all those different people. Whether you take them to DMV and register or not, I don't know, but at least if they've got 50 vehicles there ready to crush or whatever, then they don't have to pay a fee on those vehicles. Other than that, do you have any questions? That's sort of the summary of what you have in front of you. Obviously, it's subject to change if you desire to have a change there or change the amount of fees. I focused a little bit this morning about the motorcycles and the cars. We're charging $10 for motorcycles. You may want to ask him, but he said he spoke to David and he acted like they could separate motorcycles and cars. Still charge a separate fee for each one of those if he wants to do so, but that's up to you.
Well, first, anybody have any questions for Scott?
Yeah, Mr. Farthing, on page 2, section 4, the second sentence where, of course, it's in bold print, the word "or." I understand that it's either valid state license plate and/or registration, or it's in kept in the county. But then when we go over to on page 3, section 6. Item B, the second or the third sentence there, the county commissioner of revenue shall assess the county vehicle license fee as such vehicles are registered and titled upon the records of Virginia. Is that a discrepancy? I mean, registered and titled, or should it be registered or titled? I mean,
it could be more there.
I guess what I'm saying is, when I read that,
You're not going to tax a vehicle more than one.
right, but when I read that, just me reading it, it looked like, okay, over here we're saying that, titled doesn't have to be registered, but here, where it says registered and titled, I just,
Right, it would be more appropriate to have it more there. I would
Okay.
think. That way, because like you said, the way this one reads, that you need to have both.
right, and I just, some people may,
I understand that.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I think that end should be in the book.
okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
what does a business license cost, Mr. Dalton?
What county doesn't have a business license?
Okay, how, under these exemptions, what makes a salvage business a salvage business? What makes,
They have a license to
State of Virginia.
State of Virginia to D&B,
is that the same thing for,
car dealership.
car dealerships, for people that have a bunch of used cars that they're taking parts off of? Do they,
If you're selling parts off of a vehicle, you have more than 5 of those, you should be licensed. Jump dealer.
is that a state or county?
We sign applications all the time for licenses for junk dealers, or a lot of garages have those. We also sign applications because we don't have zoning. Before they'll issue permits, we've got to sign a no zone. Or that it's properly done with Met County. Since we don't have zoning, we just check the box, no zoning, they issue the permit.
Well, I guess the sticky wicket here is how many people that have 20 vehicles in their yard or in their side lot actually have that exemption?
I would not know.
Well, if we pass this ordinance, will it become a county responsibility to know that?
I think it would become, I think if you pass the ordinance, you're getting a DMV list, and you're sending on once a year out to the owner saying, pay the fee.
Or show us the license?
Or come in and claim, tell us why you don't have to pay.
Okay, that answers it.
And the DMV,
And if they don't pay it, then at some point, there's going to be a DMV stop. They go register a vehicle, and they've got 20 cars they haven't paid the fee on, then they've got to pay the fee when they register the car.
but the DMV list can either be the registration or title. Do we determine that?
You have to determine that.
I understand, but I mean, if we wanted a list from DMV, we could tell them that we want a list of registered vehicles, or we could tell them we want a list of titled vehicles.
That's my understanding, yes. Or
And/or
whatever
both.
DMV will give us.
And the way the ordinance reads, it's both, right?
Right. then
So
you're
really,
looking
we
at
just
both.
need to.
Well, but if,
Really, you just look at the title.
yeah, title, because you're not gonna have it registered if it's not titled, but, well, that was, that was what I was asking. I mean, it'll be hard if we say titles if we can't get that list from DMV.
That's my understanding from the county staff. I have not looked into DMV to determine what they can and can't get. I haven't done that.
As a matter of fact, Scott and I talked about this just trying to figure out what direction we were actually in last meeting.
Right.
We looked at some of the other locality ordinances. Some people use registered vehicles, some use titled vehicles. And the other issue was in this ordinance, we're not exempt in anything except those are listed in the current ordinance. There's a farm use exemption. I think,
In the current ordinance, I think there is.
yes.
Right.
And
Not in this, not in the draft.
And lastly, in one section of the ordinance, I was looking last night, we say that anything that's parked in the county, which Mr. Hale has talked long and hard to us about, collecting fees off people parked in the county, the garage. But then under A and B, we don't say how we're even going to send them a bill. How do they know to come get it? The license, if it's garage on.
Right, but it's not on the DMV.
If it's not on the DMV list, how does?
I don't know how to get that in.
How does that happen? Because I counted last night, there was 29 trailers, Abilene place, there was 11 trucks at Line J that had no license on either the truck or the trailer. And they're garage here, but they're not licensed here. The Abilene, none of them have Virginia tags on the trailers. Nobody at Line J all had Utah. And it seems to me, do you do blanket assessments, or how do we do this ordinance? How does the commissioner treasurer?
I'm not sure other than having a man go out there on a particular day of the year and saying how many trailers are here, and then you write them down and deal with the owner and say, hey, you had 19 trailers parked here on January 1st. You need to pay this fee.
There a provision in the state code, you and I read it yesterday, I can't remember, there's a provision in the state code that the commissioner and the treasurer can do a blanket assessment of locations such as that. Not let them come in and prove how many was there, nothing.
I don't know that, the answer to that question.
I have a question. Majority of the counties in the Commonwealth now have gone to this system. How are they getting this information? Let's learn from what they're doing. Are they or are they not? I mean, there's more people going without stickers today than there is selling. So
I haven't
it,
spoken to any other jurisdictions, and I'm saying that it's the either registered list or the title list.
Well,
They're missing some. I mean,
well, they're missing a lot. Any of those that are garage, they're probably missing important.
and we're missing them now.
Last week,
Rest.
Shriners Convention down in South Carolina, there was more Virginia cars there than were South Carolina cars. There was 4 vehicles that had stickers on.
Oh, I know. I was did a little test there once earlier this year.
But I think it's effort, and I guess what Mr. Hale is advocating to us is that we do the extra effort to get all these people that are not paying, like that extra money. Not trying to put words in his mouth. I think that's what he's been telling us, that we're do with what we got or collect what we should be.
Mr. Chairman, that's exactly right. The people that are paying the tax, that live in Wood County, get certain services. These same people that are not paying the tax
Get the same service.
are getting the same services and have never paid for them. And I think it's only fair that everybody pays equally. It won't impact business. They're here for a reason. They can operate a business here profitably. And for that amount of taxes to go unprocessed, whatever it is just not fair to the people that are paying.
I agree with you. Sam, I have a question for you now that Scott mentioned it. I think we're at a place. Can you distinguish, have you talked to DMV?
David and I talked about it the other day after the meeting. He seems to think that, and I don't think he's had time yet to really deal into it, but he said he thought he could distinguish between them because they come out on the tickets distinguish between. I mean, so I think we can solve the problem of the motorcycles and the cars. And I just personally think 20 is a little too much for the motorcycles. I'm sorry, Mr. Hale, but I just think that's too much money for a fee, because we've only charged $10 for motorcycles for all these years. That's going to create a little stir.
Well, I was ignorant to the price of what a motorcycle could cost. But there are motorcycles that can cost more than a car or a pickup can.
Oh, I know that.
And if they're personal property, let's forget about that they're a fun, non-necessary way to kill yourself. It's about value. And I had no idea what a motorcycle could cost today. But if you look at it as a personal property and value tax, then that's my defense of them paying the same price as somebody that has a used car that might be worth $600, he pays $20, and a man's got a $25,000, $30,000 motorcycle is paying $10 if it's a fair tax.
Yeah, but he's also paying personal property tax on that $20,000 motorcycle too. I mean, he's paying high dollar on that, whereas the regular person.
How do we capture that? How do we know that?
Well, they're taxed under personal property for the motorcycle, and it's based on the value of the vehicle. It's just like, you're right, some Harleys cost as much as a Cadillac, he's paying the tax the same as a Cadillac too on his motorcycle.
This is more about the usage, right? Which motorcycles, you're not gonna ride a motorcycle in the winter, or, well, some might, so raining, you're gonna drive your car to get to work, probably not your motorcycle when it's snowing and.
We only sell about 400 motorcycle stickers a year anyway. That's about all we sell. So it's not a big deal, I don't think, as far as the amount of money we bring in. To me, it was just the fact that you're gonna double the price on it from what they used to be to pay. It's gonna happen.
Motor homes then? Should they do, or are you gonna change motor homes?
Motorhomes will be under vehicles.
It's
I
not
think
under
it's $20, same as a car.
Sam, this is a money question. Does it make life easier for y'all if all trailers pay $10?
The trailers, yes, sir, because we don't have any way to distinguish if it's 9 feet or less, like I told you at the last meeting. We only find that, we send county sticker renewal forms to everybody that had a trailer, and then if they told us it was less than 9 feet long, then they didn't have to buy a decal. It's only by word of mouth that we find that out.
Okay, thank you. Well, if you change that first part, Scott, to incorporate these houses or storage
It picks them up,
vehicles.
it's just the section on page 2 there, under section 4, that first sentence that said it should be levied against or assessed on all these vehicles, trailers, motorcycles, normally garaged, stored, or parked in the camp.
Okay, so it's
It's
in there.
there, it's just a matter of how do you enforce the thing.
Well, I think that's the commissioner's job. Give
So you just
them,
gotta go out and say, hey, there's 19 things here.
somebody works on New Year's Day and they can have Christmas off.
And we're not designating a day when it has to be here. I mean, once they figure out on New Year's Day, they move all their stuff for a week and then come back. And I don't know if they say a pattern, they go by once every 3 weeks or something.
Well, then,
And if it's there, then they go and say, hey, you've had 19 trailers here for the last month, or last 2 months, you need to pay a fee.
then that behooves us to, define normally then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if we, just what Mr. Crockett said, there's probably only about 400 declared motorcycles in the county. If we change that number to 10, is there any more significant language in here that would require another public hearing?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we're dealing with changeover. You're paying 75% of whatever the fee's going to be, you know, for, that was added, but you're not really.
Not changing
anybody
the fee.
anymore. Right, not changing the fee.
Well, in light of that, it would cost us more to advertise and to have another public hearing
We are
than.
changing the trailers though, because before we had them exempted at 7 feet or 9 feet or less. Now you're asking all trailers pay the fee. And if your state would ever advertise, you'd hate to have somebody challenge it or not. Have some kind of fight there. But you are changing the fee on the trailers, whereas before we were saying the trailer was a certain length, it didn't have to have a sticker. So-
Sam, I was willing to give up on motorcycles, but not the trailer.
Well, speaking as one that rides one of those, let's see, $high ways to kill yourself. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Keep your
So, Scott, are you telling us after you make these corrections, we should have another?
I think you should re-advertise because you're changing the trailers and you've changed the fee on the motorcycle. Definitely should re-advertise.
Sheriff, you'd like to speak?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, section 10 on page 4, violation and penalty. I just had a question how that would be enforced.
When they don't pay, yes, we go silent, get a list from Sam. That's what
How do we know they haven't paid?
Sam didn't get money from them.
Pardon?
Sam didn't get money from them.
How are we to know that?
He gives you a list. Essentially, I mean, really, the enforcement's going to be on the DMV side. When they go to re-registry.
DMV, that's your, that's fine.
Right. I mean, it's there, and we can say, hey, go charge them for violating this ordinance, but really, the enforcement's going to be from the DMV side.
Okay. That's all I have.
That's how I perceive it functioning.
Right, they won't get their tax.
But that's only for licensed vehicles in particular. How do you collect?
Well, if I have 3 junk cars that I get assessed a fee on, and I go register my vehicle that I drive all the time,
I'm talking about 10 Line J vehicles or 50 Apple.
right, that's when we call the sheriff and say, hey, you need to go see Line J. I think one time before, Sister talked to Line J, and they agreed to buy so many stickers at one point. That's a vague recollection, I don't know if that's still going on. I thought she had talked to them, that you have 4 or 5 trucks there, buy 5 stickers, or, I don't know if that happened or not.
I remember that conversation, but whether it ever happened or not, I don't know.
The impression I had from my vague memory was that they
I don't
used to
believe
walk.
last night that there was any stickers. That's right.
Right.
May I ask you a question? We talk about enforcement, and I mean, going to title vehicles instead of registered vehicles will be an revenue increase. All right. But I'm still kind of torn. If we don't have the stickers, it seems to me that enforcement becomes a much more complicated thing to do and a much more time-consuming thing to do, and it may not be as effective as we hope. Right now, if somebody doesn't pay their personal property, they don't get that sticker. And I know the thing where a lot of people don't have stickers and that sort of thing, but it just seems to me like it's a little. I don't disagree with what we're doing here, except that the enforcement part, I think we may be making a lot more of a burden than we are being advantageous to.
Sheriff, let me ask you a question, if I might. Would it be easier when you're going through a road check to look and see if your tags run out, than whether you got a sticker, because you got so many cars from different localities coming through Wood County, they go through road checks. But if they don't have a valid license plate, that's statewide.
Correct.
That answers some of your questions and thoughts about
They
it.
would get cited.
Enforcement, it would be easier.
Well, I mean, but it also looks. I don't know. Of course, I've gone through road checks. They look at your license. And sometimes registration, but mostly it's the license.
Section 6.
Okay, and your license. I can look at mine. Doesn't it have your address on it?
Supposed to.
Yeah.
All right, so, I mean, if I'm going down the road, and when the sheriff's deputy, stops me in a road check, and I enter my license, and it shows that I, live in Wythe County, and I don't have a sticker, I mean, that would be a reasonable question to ask. Why do you not have a sticker?
What would you rather do, get caught for not running a sticker in Wythe County, or get caught without running valid tags?
What I'm saying is...
You have a choice.
Okay, I would rather not get caught for either one. That's why I travel a lot of back roads. But,
Mr. Howland, I think the answer to your question is that the enforcement part of this ordinance is going to be carried on more heavily by the treasurer's office than the sheriff's office. And And that's where the enforcement's really gonna come from, is it's gonna be an extra burden on the treasurer's office, because currently they sell the stickers, and then it gets turned over to the sheriff to cite people who don't have the stickers. Now, they're gonna be selling stickers, or collecting the fee, and then they'll have a list of people that's not paying the fee, and then they have to go through the DMV process. So enforcement's gonna be a longer process, because you gotta wait for those people to re-register their cars. But as far as the sheriff goes in enforcement, that's gonna come when the treasurer calls and says, or somebody calls him and says, you need to go cite these people because they refuse to buy a sticker, and we can't stop them because the vehicle's not registered in Virginia. So the enforcement really comes away from the sheriff's office a lot, and more on the treasurer's office to do the DMV stops, which is gonna be an administrative process that they have to go through and learn, and that will be time consuming to learn, but once, in my mind, anything I've done new, once I've set up that system of how to do it, and you start doing it frequently, then it becomes just part of your job, and that's how you do it. So there's a big learning curve you're gonna have there, that's gonna be a burden on the staff.
Well, I don't have any doubts that, the treasurer's office, can do it, or that they can learn and, to do it, or whatever. I guess my concern is that we pay a fee to DMV to do it.
You don't pay a fee.
No.
The citizens do.
Up front, we don't pay a fee?
You don't pay anything. If you don't pay the fee and you get a DMV stop, you not only have to pay the fee, you've got to pay DMV fee for processing that stop.
So DMV is doing it for...
You pay the county a fee for doing that.
DMV is doing it for nothing until...
Until you pay.
You as a citizen,
You as a
not as a
citizen
board.
pay. The county does
Well,
not pay for that.
well, I'm gonna tell you, that's much different than the way the state works most of the time. I mean, looks to me like, I would think that they would charge,
You don't get registration,
up
they know
front.
they're going to get the money.
May I ask Mr.
That's
Crockett a
correct,
question?
Mr. Crockett.
Mr. Crockett, I mean, is that, we don't have to, you've done DMV stops before, have you? We don't have to pay up front?
No, we pay whenever DMV sends us a bill for when they process my tags, they send us a bill monthly on how much we owe them. I mean, it's a cash cow for DMV. Last year, they took in over $6 million on DMV stops. This thing's a cash cow for DMV. It's what helps keep the doors open and keeps the staff up there.
But if we put a DMV stop on somebody, like, let's say my vehicle, my motorcycle, all right, and there's a DMV, stop. That means that when I go to renew any vehicle or whatever, once it gets processed, I can't do it until I pay the fee.
No, those DMV stops are vehicle specific. That's the problem with them. That's why years ago we tried to get DMV to change it to go to Social Security number. I can put a hold on your income tax refund on your Social Security number, but I can't put a DMV stop on a Social Security number. And the reason is there's multiple Social Security numbers in their system, and they know that. But a DMV stop is on a specific vehicle by the VIN number, and you trade that vehicle and get another vehicle, that stop's gone. That stop means absolutely nothing. That person, if they trade cars every year, they don't ever have to pay the fee.
But it's not attached to my license? I mean, my driver's license, like if I didn't pay for
No, it's attached to that car by the VIN number. That's why I've always not liked them. We use them when we can't find, the sheriff's office can't serve a warrant and debt, we do DMV stops. But by the time we do that stop, it's been a year and a half since that car's been assessed. Because usually it's the following summer when we're doing warrants. And a lot of times people trade cars since then. And then the only way to find out, you have to sit down at the computer and go in on each person and see what car they're driving now and put your DMV stop on that car. But that's not a car that I taxed you on. And that, it's got some problems. If we could convince, and I've talked to Andy B about legislation this year about doing it on DMV stops, but then our legislative chairman, Fred Parker from Washington County, he said it'll never fly. No need to put the bill in. We tried before to get get them to put DMV stops on social security numbers, we can't convince DMV. I mean, they deal with cars, they got blinders on, they're gonna put on that VIN number.
Sam, I have a quick question. So if I buy Gary's car that has a DMV stop on it, when I take it to the DMV and I'm not Gary, they're just gonna remove the stop? I mean, I'm not gonna be responsible
We've
for
had
it?
a few instances where that came back to bite the other person. And then they had to explain they bought that car from somebody else or bought it, you know.
But I guess the way it should happen would be the DMV would remove the stop
Yeah.
because I'm not,
Should, yeah.
I'm not Gary. Okay.
But stops are specific on the car, or a motorcycle, or truck, or whatever.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask the Sheriff, how many tickets does your department, you got any idea how many tickets your department writes a year for your stickers run out?
Approximately 400.
So, you're gonna lose that revenue.
I'm sorry.
You're gonna lose that revenue?
Yeah.
Do they generally pay the fine, or do they get a compliance with law by showing up with a sticker?
No, the judge doesn't comply them with law anymore, by showing up with a final law.
Gentlemen, with your pleasure. Yes, go ahead. You were talking about the DMV stop, so if I've got a junk car and they tax me on it and I don't pay the taxes, they're gonna put a DMV stop on that junk car, right?
You put a DMV stop on any of your cars.
Yeah. If we would send a list of everything that was not paid to DMV, which I'm hopeful we're gonna be able to work out, because right now we can't do that. Then if that car was registered, you get a stop on it, yeah.
But I mean, it's only gonna be on that car, it's not gonna be on my other cars. So I can still.
If you haven't paid your taxes, whatever's in your name, that's what's gonna be, DMV stop's done on.
If you don't pay the taxes on one car, he can stop all 5 of your cars. If he goes through that, he could do that, if he wanted to list all 5 of your cars. If one comes up for restoration, he can do it.
If you have, if you own 5 cars and hadn't paid your tax, then we're gonna turn in all 5 cars.
Right.
But one of them may be a junker you're keeping for parts. I don't know why you'd have tags on it. Right now,
Well, this ain't on tags, I mean, they're going on registration, I mean, on license, on title, and that's where I have the problem with it.
well, that's,
But you can identify any car that they own and put the stop on, right? It doesn't have to be the car that has the fee assessed.
I guess you can, but right now, we only do what's registered and has tags on it. That's what we tax on.
Right.
I'm sure there's a lot of junk cars in the county that don't have tags,
Right.
that are may still be on the record.
Right.
But, like I said, these localities, Andy, you asked a question about how other counties did it.
Mm-hmm.
To be very honest with you, the bigger counties, it is a job selling county stickers. And it's been the treasurers in most of these counties that have pushed to get rid of them, to get it off, that burden off of them.
Mm-hmm.
And whether they, like Scott in Hanover County, he admitted they had to put on extra 1 or 2 people in their treasurer's office just to do DMV stops. Because, you know, he pushed to get rid of them, and he said he collected through DMV. So it's a lot of burden on the office to do DMV stops. Now, it still is a burden on stickers, but to me, at least as far as the sheriff goes, if they got a sticker, we know that they paid their taxes. Unless they stole the sticker.
And that's happened too.
That happens too, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it seems to me that 98% of the people will never know this ordinance other than they're not putting stickers on.
Right.
Because these people have always paid their taxes and they're doing their thing. And I don't know how you're gonna solve it for these other 2 or 3% to catch everything.
Well, you're not, well, depending on what the board decides to do, my recommendation is to set a public hearing on the ordinance. You know, we can find out more from DMV or make adjustments. And I'm happy to answer questions, but.
That's probably the right idea.
Really.
I have one comment on it.
Okay.
Scott's a great guy, but he charges us for being here and doing these exercises. Unless we have some desire to make this thing work, we ought to drop it. I mean, another public hearing and him redoing the thing is only gonna be a burden dollar-wise. And hearing these conversations, it sounds like we almost get there and then talk ourselves out of doing it. So unless we have some idea that we wanna go forward, let's don't go forward. But if we truly wanna look at this and do what's right for the county, then we go forward. But if we're not gonna go there, let's don't spend any more money on it.
You wanna put that form of a motion and find out?
Well, it was awful long, can you shorten it up a bit? Let's do
Make a
it.
motion that, they hold a public hearing. You should find out if they support it or not.
Right.
All right, I motion we have a public hearing.
Second. Okay. Been moved, second, we have a public hearing. Scott, how long a time will it take you to get this document prior to that public
It's
hearing?
ready if you're happy with that.
Well, there was a few questions that was asked.
We had a couple of verifications.
You
Clarification.
had some clarification, change the one to or, but that was the only.
$10.
Well, and also define normally. Normally,
And the
park,
definition of normally.
The definition of normal.
yeah.
And what about the $10 for the motorcycle?
And I agree with that, I think we should cut it back to $10.
It says $20 right now.
I don't know what you guys want, so you guys.
Well, I think
We want 10, or,
The impression I had was they thought about it, or at least Mr. Hale thought about it, but if you gotta re-advertise and he wants to keep it 20, so. I don't know what you want to do.
Oh, I can see the people that can own a $30,000 motorcycle really need that $10 break, so let's take it back.
Alright, so
Not everybody has a $30,000.
the changes would be to change the motorcycle fee back to $10.
Right.
Okay, and change the or, and then define what normally is.
and we've already changed the trade.
And we need a public hearing for those three changes?
That's what he just
The
recommended.
fee on the trailer, before it was not there.
Oh, fee on the trailer, okay.
If it's a small trailer, you put a fee on.
Okay.
There's literally thousands of those small trailers.
Well, and also changes, if when we talked about it in public hearing, we didn't talk about titled vehicles, did we?
That hasn't changed, that language has not changed at all.
From the last public hearing we had? Okay.
Because my understanding when I drafted the ordinance was that was where you guys were headed and you wanted to do that, so
Okay.
I put that in there.
Sal, you've got 10 minutes, and we got two more things on your agenda. So let's move to the,
You will vote on the public hearing? Vote?
No, they haven't.
no, we haven't. I do have a motion, I have a second, right? Any other discussion? All in favor of having another public hearing, say aye. Aye. All right, we'll have another one.
No.
One no, still 6 to, the ayes have it. All right, the jail lease,
There's a draft, I think, is that in your packet? My understanding is that needs to be a coordinated effort with the town to get leases on some sites for radio equipment for the 911 or call center.
Yes.
So it needs to be coordinated with,
We need to coordinate, we need a site from the town over on Sand Mountain, for consolidated dispatch, one up at Pine Ridge, for the building, and one over at the old fire station, the town hall, I call it. And I would like to have all those three.
Put in this lease?
Put in this lease.
or at least present it at the same time.
Present at the same time, so.
Because you want to condition the jail lease on getting a lease on those other things.
Okay. So you're talking about, shouldn't they be?
They should
Okay.
be drafting that lease, yes.
They should be drafting that lease, but I'm
They told
saying,
Mr. Dalton that we got to draft it.
okay. So is it gonna be better to put it in this lease or is that two
I think
separate?
I have two separate, because we want that one to go 4 years and, at least 4 years. We don't know about the lease on the jail. It ends at the same time the school board lease ends on the park.
Uh-huh.
So we made it match that school board lease.
Right.
So it's going to be shorter than 4 years, whatever's left on that lease.
So we're gonna go, the,
And that mandates there in like paragraph 2 or 3.
jail lease will pretty much stay as is. We're not gonna offer them that lease until we propose the other lease. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct. And we wanted to add language to the jail lease,
It's like that, I recommend we because of the controversy we had when we tore down the building next door.
Oh, okay.
They have a public hearing prior to demolishing anything,
Right,
Just to hear comments from the public.
right. Okay.
That's all I have on the jail lease. We want to add the public hearing, we want to wait until we get the lease for the towers.
Right,
The other thing I think under my report is the noise ordinance.
right.
So I've handed out 2 noise ordinances, which you guys have seen before at different times. The general idea is, there's no reasonable person standard, that it has to be able to be measured either by distance, distance and location, or by a meter. So you can say, I'm standing at the property line and it is plainly audible at 50 feet from the property line or at the edge of the property line, then that's something that can be measured and citizens can know that I can go see how loud my music is by standing at the edge of my property line. So there's designations of where you try to figure out where it's plainly audible. So that does not require a noise ordinance. It has some objectivity to it. However, there is some definite things in that ordinance. That's the one that's titled Noise Ordinance of Wood County. Has some like highlighted squares. They have almost all those highlighted. But essentially, it's saying, you know, at this location, between these hours, if it's plainly audible, then it's too loud.
And you're saying this one does not require decimeter,
That's correct.
decibel meter, not decimeter.
That's correct.
Decibel meter.
So it just has some descriptions in there of how you determine if it's too loud or not, based on where you're standing and where the music's coming from, or the noise is coming from. The other ordinance that does not have any